I love Prodigy, but Star Trek Voyager's best sequel still needs to happen. Even though I love the fact that Star Trek Prodigy was quite obviously made as a soft legacy sequel to Star Trek Voyager, I still really want Kate Mulgrew's Admiral Janeway and her former crew to return in a different kind of project. Pretty much every member of the Voyager crew has been promoted in Star Trek canon since they returned to Earth, and the franchise's modern era has paid a lot of attention to Star Trek Voyager characters too. However, there's a Voyager sequel other than Prodigy I am waiting eagerly for, although I'm aware it may never happen. The Star Trek timeline has been very kind to Voyager, allowing characters to return in Star Trek Lower Decks and Star Trek Picard, as well as Star Trek Prodigy. The almost complete reunion has been pretty piecemeal so far, and nothing like the coming together of Star Trek The Next Generation's original cast in 2023's Star Trek Picard Season 3. I'm still hopeful that Star Trek Voyager will get the same treatment. Why a live-action Star Trek Voyager reunion should still happen despite Prodigy. The Star Trek Prodigy cast being so dense with Star Trek Voyager stars is one of the biggest reasons why I love the show. That being said, I'd prefer to see the entire crew enjoy a live-action reunion. Realistically, I know something like the TNG reunion in Star Trek Picard is a bit of a stretch for Voyager, but announcing something like a one-off streaming movie on Paramount Plus would have a lot of Voyager fans waiting impatiently. Sadly, I think the failure of Star Trek Section 31 has probably made the platform a little hesitant to make another straight-to-streaming movie. A live-action Voyager movie would make more sense to take place after the end of Star Trek Picard Season 3, early in the 25th century. Star Trek Prodigy wouldn't need to end for a Voyager movie to happen, nor has the existence of the animated show made the latter option less likely. The commitment to voicing an animated character is far less than a live-action movie would take, plus the actors are now too old to physically reprise their roles during the Prodigy era, which is just 5 years after the USS Voyager's return to Earth. So, a live-action Voyager movie would make more sense to take place after the end of Star Trek Picard Season 3, early in the 25th century. Star Trek Voyager is more popular now than it was in the 1990s. Star Trek The Next Generation was a huge hit pretty much as soon as it debuted in 1987, and it remains very popular today. It was followed by Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which also did well, but its popularity plateaued early on. When Star Trek Voyager arrived in 1995, it fell a little flat, and although it had a fan base, it never reached the height of the other franchise installments while on the air. In the decades that have passed since Star Trek Voyager ended, the show has grown to be far more well-received. The advent of streaming services has brought the show to new audiences, and for whatever reason, it has resonated far more with following generations. So, a reunion movie makes far more sense than it had been made immediately after the show ended, as happened with Star Trek The Next Generation. Star Trek Voyager's unexpected increase in popularity has been reflected in tributes to the show and returning characters in the modern era, such as the strong Voyager contingent in Star Trek Prodigy. Like many fans, I was thrilled when Star Trek Prodigy brought Voyager back into the spotlight. Watching Janeway's familiar face, even in holographic form, was like seeing a long-lost friend return after years adrift in the Delta Quadrant. The animated series was vibrant, clever, and full of heart, a new generation's gateway to the Trek universe. But while Prodigy gave us a taste of Voyager's legacy, it barely scratched the surface of the sequel we truly deserve. Let's be honest, Star Trek Voyager ended with too many unfinished arcs, dangling threads, and unexplored consequences. The crew made it home, yes, but what came next? That momentous journey, 7 years across uncharted space, shaped them in profound and complex ways. Yet we've never truly seen how Starfleet or Earth responded to their return, or how the crew adjusted after years outside the Federation's reach. Voyager's true sequel, the one where we explore the psychological, political, and emotional fallout of their odyssey, still hasn't happened. And it needs to. A crew forever changed. Captain Janeway isn't just a Starfleet officer, she's a legend. She made impossible choices in impossible circumstances, broke protocol when necessary, and rebuilt the ideals of the Federation in the Delta Quadrant's wild frontier. Her evolution from by-the-book scientist to pragmatic leader was one of the most compelling character arcs in Trek history. But we never saw how Starfleet reckoned with her controversial decisions, alliances with former enemies, use of the Borg, or the creation and loss of beings like the Emergency Command hologram. 7 of 9 became an icon in Picard, but even that series only hinted at the depth of her trauma and growth. What about Tuvok, B'Elanna Torres, or the Doctor? The Maquis crew members, the ones who had to become a family just to survive. How did Earth welcome them back? Did they find peace, or were they misfits in a world that had moved on without them? These aren't just character questions, they're opportunities. For drama, for growth, and for the kind of bold storytelling Star Trek has always done best. The Federation needs Janeway again. In a post-Picard world, the Federation has changed. It's battered, scarred, and more wary than ever. But it's also rebuilding, and no one is better suited to help guide it than Janeway. She's a natural mentor, a symbol of endurance, and a woman who understands both the ideals and limits of Starfleet. Her return to live action wouldn't just be fan service, it would be powerful storytelling. There's precedent too. Star Trek, Picard brought back beloved characters not just for nostalgia, but to explore how time had changed them. Why can't Voyager get the same treatment? In fact, it should. It's the one show whose ending practically demands a sequel. They didn't just return home, they brought the Delta Quadrant with them. Technologies, allies, enemies, and experiences that could reshape the Federation's future. Imagine a show where Janeway is now a fleet admiral working behind the scenes while a new crew, perhaps including Naomi Wildman, a grown-up Icub in an alternate timeline, or even new Delta Quadrant officers, navigate a mission that directly stems from Voyager's past. Maybe the Borg threat returns in a new form, maybe the Caretaker's people reappear, or perhaps the Federation has to confront ethical fallout from Voyager's actions. The possibilities are endless and emotionally rich. Prodigy is great, but it's not Voyager. I love Prodigy. It's beautiful, brave, and one of the best entry points Trek has offered to new fans. But it's not a true continuation of Voyager, it's a thematic successor. Janeway is there, but as a hologram or mentor. The original crew is mostly absent. The show isn't about their return to the Alpha Quadrant. It's about young adventurers discovering what Star Trek means. That's noble. But it doesn't replace what we've been missing for over 20 years. A proper Voyager sequel doesn't need to erase Prodigy, it can build on it. Prodigy's characters could even cross over. But the heart of the story should be about legacy, closure, and growth. Not just for Janeway, but for everyone who crossed that vast, dangerous space and made it back changed. Time is running out, but it's not too late. Kate Mulgrew is still here. So are most of the Voyager cast. There's a passion and love for these characters that still burns, and a growing audience hungry for mature, thoughtful science fiction. With the success of Picard, Strange New Worlds, and Lower Decks, Paramount has the perfect moment to bring Voyager back with the gravitas and depth it deserves. Let's not wait another decade. Let's not let this crew fade into nostalgic cameos or vague references. They earned their place in Trek history, not just through exploration, but through resilience,